Hi, it's Anne-Marie here from Kilbora Quilt Shop, and today I want to show you how to make one of these great storage boxes. They're great for holding your fat quarters and can be used as presenting maybe a gift at Christmas. This one was done with snowmen gatherings, which is a lovely winter motif of snowmen. I've done it in two contrasting colours. We have the cream on the inside and the dark navy on the outside. And I've used some navy buttons here to hold down the flaps. This is a wonderful way to present maybe a gift to one of your quilting friends at Christmas. You can put some little notions or fabrics inside it, or for those of you that like to give food or jams at Christmas time, this is another great way to present it. So we're going to start. And what do you need? First, you need 2 fat quarters. Now, I've cut the fat quarters because I want it to be approximately this size. I want it to be a larger size. So I've cut the fat quarters down to 16.5 inches. I've used 2 coordinating colors. I've used this lovely green from Mistletoe Lane with ice skates on it, and this gorgeous pink plaid. The pink plaid, I think I'm going to have it on the inside, and the green with the skates on the outside. So I've cut my 2 squares to 16.5 inches. So I've used pretty much the entire fat quarter for both of them. I'm going to set this aside. The other item that we're going to need is a 16-inch square of Soft and Stable, and we sell that here in Kilbora. We sell it in large packages, and this stuff is fantastic for making bags or items like this that if you used wadding it'd just flop over. It wouldn't really be of much use. You can use the wadding when you're doing the small, say 8.5 to 10.5 inch square little boxes, but for this we're going to use the Soft and Stable, and we're doing it at 16 inches because it would be bulky if we cut it at 16.5 and then had it inside of our seams. So to eliminate that bulk, we've cut it at 16. And because this is not an iron-on stabilizer or interfacing, we're going to use 505 spray after we've done our sewing. So let's get started. So we're going to start by doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance around the perimeter of our 16.5 inch square. Now, it's important to remember that you're going to need to leave a gap of about 4 inches on one of the sides, and that will allow you to turn your piece inside out. Now, the other important thing that you need to remember is if your sewing machine has a needle up and down position, you want it in the needle down. As you see here, I've pivoted the fabric with the needle in the down position. So I've stopped a 1/4 inch from the bottom and pivoted the 2 pieces together. We're going around. Obviously I've had 10 cups of coffee this morning, so we're flying at the speed of sound, and we're going to come down around another corner. And right here you see I'm doing a stay stitch. I've clipped it and started again. That's my gap for turning it inside or right side out. We've finished, and here I'm going to take my Soft and Stable piece. Remember, it's a 16-inch piece, and I'm going to spray it generously with 505, and I'm going to center it inside the square. I want to be very careful that it's not overlapping the seam, because that would create a great deal of bulk, and it would be hard then to keep your sides from turning. Here we are clipping the corners, so we'll get a nice sharp corner, and once again this helps reduce bulk. Whenever you're working on something where you have to turn something inside out and it has foam or it has wadding, always clip your corners. It reduces the bulk and gives you a much sharper corner. So now I'm turning it inside out, and I'm going to take my scissors once it's completely turned inside out, and I'm going to take the tip and just push those corners out so that I have a nice sharp corner. We're going to even it out and I'm going to stitch that closed either by hand or by machine. So I've smoothed it out. I'm going to take my scissors now and I'm just going to push out just to make sure those corners are nice and sharp. I'll be very gentle with this. You can see I have a lovely band-aid, a plaster on my finger, impartially due because I took a seam ripper and took a chunk out of my finger. There was no blood splashed on any fabric, so all was well. Here we go. Be careful when you use scissors or a sharp object. You don't actually go through the fabric, creating a hole. Now that's nice and neat. I'm going to go and start with the corners. Now I folded it in half and I fold it with the lining on the outside, and that's important to remember. I'm going to mark 3 inches on the side and 3 inches at the bottom where the fold is, and I'm going to draw a line diagonally. As you can see here, here's 3 inches on the side and 3 inches down at the bottom where the fold is. And I'm going to draw a line diagonally and then sew across that line. And I'm going to do it on both corners. I've used a friction pen made by Pilot, and you can iron that off. That's a 12.5-inch ruler, probably one of the handiest rulers you can have. Now I've switched feet. I've taken my 1/4-inch foot off and I've used my general sewing foot. Now I'm going to open it and fold it in the opposite direction now. You can see it's a little bit awkward, and I'm going to repeat the process. I'm going to mark it at 3 inches on the side and 3 inches at the fold. Mark a diagonal line, and that's going to be my sewing line. We're going to do it here on the opposite side. It's a little bit awkward to do this, but it's not difficult. And you can see that I fly right through the soft and stable foam. It's an absolutely brilliant product. It doesn't cause a lot of problems with the machine like some bulky interfacings do. And yet you have the strength and stability. The bags stand up straight if you're using it for a tote bag. And here we go. And that's the final side. Now, I would probably take this to the ironing board and press out and get rid of the lines from the friction pen, smooth it out. And as you can see here, we've turned it inside out. I'm going to push out the corners here, create a box. Now you can take there we go. Now you can take the sides and you can fold them down, put a nice decorative button on the point of each, and it will hold the sides down, which is lovely. And as far as the corners that we've folded down and sewn across, you can see them there, the 4 in each corner. You could take those and stitch them down on the side, and there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to share our YouTube tutorials. Thank you.